Hello and welcome to the Legendary Backlog. We're glad you're here. In our show, we cover what we've been playing over the last week and a game over 5 years old in our 5 Year Beyond segment. This is episode 6, and we will be covering Super Castlevania IV for the Super Nintendo. I am Brian, and you can find me on Bryan and Bryan and X. If you listen to the show and you like it, please follow us on Patreon at the Legendary Backlog. It's free and it will give you access to all our sites. We're trying to build a community of people that loves games. My host is also named Brian. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Brian, and you can reach me at Nostalgic Pixel on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel, Nostalgic Pixel, and nostalgicpixel.com.
Let's go ahead and get into what we've been playing this week. I'll go ahead and start. First of all, I've been playing mostly Valkyrie Chronicles. I'm still in love with that game. It's a tactical strategy RPG. It's really neat. This week, I discovered these things called orders because I started to get some that really matter. And basically, what orders do, give your troops buffs. And over the course of the game, which I'm a little bit over halfway through, you start to get buffs that really matter. I've been watching on YouTube is strategies where you can use like one soldier or maybe two soldier to win an entire fight in like 2 turns with these buffs because they pretty much break the game. So I've been getting some A rank matches so I can build up my armies and stuff like that. So I've been enjoying that a lot. It's a lot of min-max and I'm really enjoying that. This week I also started playing Alan Wake the Remastered on the PlayStation 5. I'm on episode 3 now. I really enjoyed episode 1 and 2. Once I actually just sat down and really got into it, I started to enjoy it. I like the gameplay. Really like the story and where they're going. Alan Wake is basically a game like was on the 360, I think. It was later ported to the PlayStation 4 and so forth. But basically, it's a horror game, kind of like that, but you play like in third person. So you see the character, and there's like this shadow and light thing going on, and that kind of is how you defeat the enemies. It's pretty neat. I like it without giving any spoilers.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Silent Hill game, right?
I would say Silent Hill is a lot more horror. This is more like thriller slash intriguing, you know? Since last episode, I really enjoyed playing Mortal Kombat 1 so much that I decided to pick up where I left off on Mortal Kombat. And the last Mortal Kombat I really got into was 10. I own the game on Steam and I own the game on the PS5 because they were ridiculously cheap at one point. But I started playing that, actually going through the story mode and everything, learning the characters. So I've really been enjoying that. I plan to get to Mortal Kombat 1 sometime down the road so I can stay caught up. And who knows, I might get into the next one early. So I really enjoyed playing Mortal Kombat 11 this week. The other little game I've been playing is I bought the Mega Man X collection on the Switch. And I've been really enjoying that. I've got to the point where there's bosses now, which doesn't take you much to get to. And I've made it to the end of some boss stages, but I need to kind of figure out what order I'm going to attack them. So I might check out a guide or something to make it a little faster. But back in the day when I was a kid, I played Mega Man. I just kept on going down until I beat one and then, just kind of randomly figure out which one hurt each other. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing this week, Brian.
Oh, cool. So yeah, for me, what I was playing since last week I mentioned I played the Star Wars pod racing game. I played a little bit more of that this week. And then also regularly and that game is just like the Star Wars Episode 1 pod racing game. Just I remember the courses so well. And that thing turns so sharp. It's a fun, drive fast, sense of speed also just turns on a dime. It can be a lot of fun to play that. And then also I was playing my Analog Pocket a lot, just regularly, for short games of California Games surfing. That's been fun. Again, it's just a score chaser, and you have about a minute, 30 seconds to get as high a score as you can by doing like multiple 360s, like quadruple for the most points. So that's just what I've been playing, and that was originally on like the Atari Lynx, but I have a different handheld now that plays it. And then, since the game we were playing was on the Super Nintendo, when I had my Super Nintendo booted up, I played like the Super Mario Brothers 3 All Stars Edition one, and it's fun because I can save my progress. But I just kind of started off the first part where I got like the whistle and a little bit further, and I remember in the past, like you go to the next level and then you get the second whistle, and at that point you pretty much warp all the way to like World 8, and then go to straight to the end of the game. So kind of want to try to do that again. I remember my friend had the game growing up, did that a lot. And so I remember seeing it and doing it over at his house, but it's been a while since I've tried to get both of them.
I was thinking about breaking out the All Star Collection this week too because of I was playing on Super Nintendo, and I did end up playing Super Mario World though for a little bit, and I got to I don't know, like the second map or something like that, but it was I just played it a little bit, but I really enjoyed going back to those old school Mario's. It's pretty fun.
And then along with like the theme of Castlevania, I played Parodius. I'm not sure exactly the rest of it, but it's the other Parodius game, not the Parodius Da, but a different Parodius. It was released on the Super Famicom, and the cool thing is it includes like Dracula. It's like Kid Dracula is a playable character in the shoot 'em up. So, and he's got really cool homing attack weapons that they can be real fun to play with. Of all the different Parodiuses over the different releases and the generations, like this is I think is the only time he's in the cast, which is fun. He's shown up, or they've done Castlevania stuff in like a few other like Famicom games, but it was neat to see him included in it. And his weapons are just OP. And then I wanted to play more Resident Evil, but I've been having some trouble with my PlayStation 4 between playing the game of backup everything. It was pretty easy. It just took like a long time on like a thumb drive. I didn't play so much of that anymore, but I started playing on different devices. So on my Apple TV, I have Sonic CD, and I haven't really played around with it. I just hooked up the controller real quick and then turned it on easily enough. It was just, there it was, and it's the same version that was released on like the PS3 version and the 360 back in the day. So it's like a perfect playing Sonic CD that plays in widescreen. I had a lot of fun playing that originally when it came out. It was one of my favorite games for the Sega CD. I didn't have Snatcher though, but in some of the other games that I like now. Anyway, it's a lot of fun to play that one. So I ended up playing that. It was kind of funny on my Apple TV. And then I was just playing around some more with the Apple TV a little bit the other day with like adding Retro Arch, and I got like because I was surprised Castlevania Symphony of the Night wasn't on there because it's on my iPad and my phone, so I got it running on the Apple TV through Retro Arch. That was fun, and it ran really smooth. So I don't know, I just kind of like devices that can play that game. It's fun to have choices. And then I played a little bit of Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles, which is the PSP remake of Rondo of Blood in like 2.5D. Didn't run perfect, so I think the best way for me to play it still is through the PlayStation TV. So that's probably where, if I want to play it for real, I'll probably play it through my PlayStation TV and not through the Apple TV. And yeah, those are all the games I was pretty much playing. I got a fun day of wiping out my PlayStation 5 in front of me because I'm having some weird connectivity issues.
That's a shame what's going on with your PlayStation, man. Let's hope good luck happens this week, right?
Yeah, well, I've got everything backed up, and I know if things are in the cloud, but just in case, I know it's having like connectivity issues. So I was just checking right before recently to see what I had in my game library before I wiped it out because I wanted to make sure, when I turned it on, I wasn't going to go crazy looking for a game that I didn't already own. But anyway, I got that sorted out.
Why don't we go ahead and get into our 5-year beyond segment? Super Castlevania IV for the Super Nintendo, released in 1991. So, Brian, why don't you go ahead and give us your first impressions of the game?
I remember I was excited about this one. I had my first time I saw the first Castlevania was at a friend's house, and then the second one I bought, and the third one I saw it back at my friend's house. And I was kind of disappointed that it was back to the traditional levels, although they were a lot of fun to play, and some of them were pretty hard, but like especially when you're just over at a friend's house to learn them. But with the four coming out, this came out really soon when the Super Nintendo came out in America, like just a month or a few months later. I was lucky enough that I had a Super Nintendo and got this thing right away. It was like the third game I got because the first game was the Super Mario World that came with it, and then I also bought Final Fight along with the system at the time, and then the next game I bought Super Castlevania IV, and this is one of the really great classic Castlevania style games as well. It's a little easier than the other ones because of the whip controls. They're so overpowered, and that you can use them in a lot of different ways that you can't do in other games. But it's really beautiful game, and the music is really good. It really takes good advantage of the sound chip. I really liked it because even though it was like a kind of a retelling of the first one, it was a new game, showing off a lot of cool new features of the system and the color palette and on-screen colors, and then like the rotating and scaling of graphics and stuff, and how they made a boss scale by making it be part of the background and a way of doing it. It was pretty cool. So technically, I thought it was a really pretty game, and I liked all the extra whip controls they gave you. If you were creative, you could get a lot done with it, which also makes the secondary weapon less useful than they normally are in more traditional whip. It's still a lot of fun. And one thing I wish you could do that you can do in later ones is when you get like a secondary item, the item you used to have like gets knocked out of you and is on the screen for you to recollect. So because so many times like I'd have a really good secondary weapon and have like 2x or even 3x ability to use them, and then like I'm pretty much very focused when I'm playing this game about getting every candle because you never know what's underneath them, and I'm looking either for health or one ups or whatever. Big hearts, lots of hearts. Money's all right, but mostly looking for just seeing what's under them. It's just like when I play Zelda, I have to cut a lot of the grass in some of the classic ones just to see.
All right, sounds like a pretty good first impression, Brian. Believe it or not, my first impression of this game is really, honestly, this week. I didn't have a Super Nintendo until later on. I was a Genesis kid. My friends were never really into Castlevania, so I didn't play any of the earlier ones or anything. My entry to Castlevania was actually Symphony of the Night, and I only got it because several of my friends told me it was really good, and I thought, hey, for the price, why not? When it was $20, but I loved it. And I went on to play like the advanced Castlevanias and things like that. But as far as going backwards, I never really did that. I maybe have played this game probably for 5 minutes or less just to check it out on emulators or something in the past. But honestly, this would be my first time really giving it a shot. And I have to say I really enjoyed it. It's interesting how much it's like a Souls game to me. The way it starts you back is just ridiculous, and basically there could be 3 or 4 stages so far that I've seen for a level. Pretty much every time you die it starts you back pretty far is my whole point. It'll chop you back like a stage or something. It just makes and when you die and you continue, it drops you back all the way at the beginning of the level, that to me is the frustrating part, not so much the stage not back. I really enjoyed this game, but it took me a while to figure out some things. I should have just looked it up, but I was trying to just figure it out. But when the whip drops, you know how he freezes right for a second?
He freezes, or things that hit it kind of freeze when they hit the standing whip. Like if you just hold the whip out like limp, it can be used as a shield really well and kill things. It's great that way.
It took me a while to learn that was the whip, is basically what I'm getting at, that I was picking up. Because I thought maybe at first it had something to do with lives or something, because I noticed...
Oh, the upgrade for the whip?
Or the upgrade whip. I thought it had something to do with the lives at first. I didn't know that's what I was picking up. I was like, why do I have a whip sometimes? Why is it long? And I was trying to figure out all this stuff. Eventually, I watched the video and it explained it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you upgrade it 3 times.
Which made me want to start getting more candles, because originally I was kind of skipping a lot of candles because I was like, all I'm getting is hearts. So yeah, I definitely agree with the whole candle thing, because you never know what's going to be underneath there. The levels are pretty hard. To me, they're like a Souls game. You have to remember where every enemy is to pass it smoothly, right? And you have to pass it smoothly because you're going to get to a boss and you want to have good health. I'm actually shocked that you don't play many Souls games, Brian, after your love for Castlevania. This stuff, I thought it was a pretty hard game, to be honest.
Yeah, there's about 12 levels. I was able to get to about level 8.
And that's just this week.
And in the past, I've just noticed where I've been able to pick this game up and get really far into it just in a single play, because there's a lot of memory to it. Because I played this a lot. On the back of my Super Nintendo, I have a 3x5 card with the code for Dracula. And I was so excited that I got to him and I beat him, is that I always love going back and beating him over and over again. I was like, yeah, take that. I tried going back and beating him, but I need to relearn that fight on him. As much as he is very similar to all the other Castlevania games, it is a little different with this one. It has a little bit of flair that's different. I didn't spend too much time trying to beat him. I went back and tried to see how far I could get through the levels. And I got to about the dungeon, and there's a few things that were pretty frustrating that kind of set me back. Anything that it's a one-hit kill,
like the spikes,
and spikes can be one-hit kills. And there's spike platforms that move up and down, and that you can jump on top of, but don't jump underneath. Set you back so far.
Not only just the things that kill you in 1 second, but also the things that make you knock off into nothingness, or you fall through the level. Yeah.
Oh, any kickback that knocks you into the hole. Or it's how sometimes you're moving up vertically a level And you think, oh, if I fall, it'll be fine. The camera will just move and I'll land on the lower platform and not like die immediately and instantly. Because sometimes you can go up and down vertically, and if you fall down, it's okay. That's kind of where you're supposed to be going or whatever, so you don't die. But like other ones that aren't set up, if you fall down, it's just off the screen, you're dead.
Yeah, totally.
But it's like classic. It can be kind of brutal. What'd you think of the music?
Oh, the music was really good. I don't know. Like I watched a lot of videos of this after I played it for a while and kind of got into it. I think the music's good, but I'm not sure it's like as great as everybody praises it to be. But it's definitely like the first couple levels were pretty good. Maybe it gets better later on. I don't know about that, but the music was decent.
They can go to the settings there and listen to all the level channels. It's pretty cool to have all the sound check and stuff.
Oh, that's something I might do. Now, I played this on the Super Nintendo emulation system that was sold by Nintendo, the mini one.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo Mini.
And my thought process was like, even if I'm not that good at this, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to go just use the codes and experience every level, right? Turned out you can't do that. The first time I beat the boss and made it to level 2, they gave me a code. The first time they gave me a code, I just kind of like didn't even write it down. I was like, I'll just look it up on the internet instead of writing all this down or taking a picture or something. I'll just look it up. Turns out you can't do that. I don't know if that's just the version that I'm playing or if each cartridge was different on the codes, but yeah, like I had to the codes that I got were like way different than what people posted online to get to a level. Like my level 2, instead of being just 2 fireballs, it was like 2 fireballs, 2 water ball or water, whatever those things are, and an axe. So it was like completely different. So I thought that was a little interesting. I wonder if that's something Nintendo changed or Konami changed or what for this version. I don't know.
It might have something to do with did you use a name?
Yeah.
Okay, that can sometimes influence. At least I think it can influence the password working in the past, or if in this one.
That's another thing I didn't like about it was, why do you pick your name every time you play?
You can leave it blank. You just skip past it.
Oh, you just skip past it? Okay, that's good. I wish I would have known that. I thought you had to enter something. I just kept entering B.
No, you just hit start or whatever. It goes right through.
I wonder, I'm going to try that after this podcast to see if the levels work.
Yeah, just leave it blank. Yeah, if you leave it blank, you can look up. There's different levels, and each level has like a name. There's like the entrance, the forest, the caverns, the outer keep, the courtyard, then you're inside the castle and the ballroom, the library, the dungeon, treasury, the clock tower, the inner keep, and then like a boss rush, and then Gabon and Mr. Death, and then Dracula, the final code. And that's the one code I have. It's on the 3x5 card on the back.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty cool that you still got that after all those years.
Yeah, I was hoping you might use it and try it to see what Dracula's like.
Well, I was gonna try it, but then I found out that normal codes don't work on that system. Might be because I was picking a name.
Yeah, it should.
So who knows?
Yeah, just leave the name blank.
I found the gameplay very addicting. I found that a level would be hard for me, or like just a part of a level would be hard for me, and then eventually I would pass it with no problem, like flying colors, not even getting touched. I'd know when to wait, when to push forward, what order to kill enemies, all that stuff.
For me, the music, I was going to say, is one thing. I really enjoy the music, and I like it a lot. And I think, I know it's like the next generation after this, or even this generation later on, like Rondo of Blood, where they're using like CD music soundtrack, and then like and all the later ones that were on the PlayStation, like Symphony of the Night. But the chiptune music is really good. And one thing that is really useful is because I find myself dying and repeating over and over again, I'm glad the music is enjoyable. And some of the levels, the music is just relaxing because so that's really nice. It's like when you're in the caverns or whatever, there's some really kind of peaceful music in times where you might be stressed out, and playing it sometimes it just kind of helps. It just makes it easier to keep playing.
The music goes with the gameplay very well. And another thing that I really like is how different the levels are, you know? Like whenever I went through that one level where you're going down, I don't remember what it's called, but you're going down the water and you see like the reflection of rainbows on the water in the pixels. I thought that was pretty smooth. And there's several other things like that that just caught my eye as I was playing. The one room where everything turns, I thought that like, you know, when you get to the third stage, I think it's the fourth level, third stage, everything turns. It's going around cylinder. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, it was really showing off what the system is capable of doing and some of the new features for the Super Nintendo.
Like whenever I saw like just the gameplay of this game and I saw that level, I was like, I want to get to that. I'll be happy. I just wanted to experience that. That was pretty neat for a Super Nintendo game.
Although it can be pretty hard in that space too, with the bum rush of like the Medusa heads.
Yeah, the Medusa heads. They killed me a lot, and then I got to the point where I just could kill every single one coming my way, like back and forth, like no problem. It was all timing. This game is so much like a Souls game to me. And what's interesting is I really experienced Soul games before I experienced classic Castlevania games. So if they're all like this, that makes me really think that like this is like the Souls games of like the 2Ds, right? Makes me think Bloodborne might be 3D Castlevania, to be honest with you. One thing in Souls games is that you'll get to a boss and then you'll die, and then your starting point is like really far back, and there's some really hard things to go through. And this game does the same thing to you. It's challenging, but so rewarding when you win, which is what makes it great. If I had more time on my schedule, I definitely would be playing this a lot more. And I might still go back to it and play it some more. But it does take me about like 15 minutes of playing before I really start advancing, before I really get in my groove. So it is like a 30-minute to 45-minute, maybe hour play session for me to make anywhere. This is a super awesome game, and it's on the Super Nintendo too. So that's great.
Yeah, it's the only Super Castlevania. All the other ones are just Castlevania.
Yeah.
So it also makes it interesting when you're looking for it, like scrolling through the lists and stuff. It's like you got to, don't start at the C's, go down to the S's of the Super. And yeah, the other Bloodlines that came out on the Genesis didn't come out till years later after this one. So this was the Castlevania for the longest time, and before Rondo as well, years before it.
Yeah, I think we should talk about the intro screen. I think that's pretty awesome. I think it's a coffin sticking up, or is it a grave? I think it's a grave.
Yeah, it's a grave site, and you're seeing a headstone, and then a lightning hits it, and then you see a bat fly away, which is Dracula.
The graphics on that for 16-bit was really nice. I mean, that was really nice opening screen. And then the little entry scene that you see before you start your level, that's pretty nice intro. And then the first level is pretty solid. I like the going back and forth between the gates. That was pretty good. That was that something new to this Castlevania, or did you do that stuff before?
Oh no. Well, all right. Yes and no. Yes, you did do that kind of the stuff before, but this presentation was really nice. And it, every time it was been done, it just, done to another level and degree. But yeah, there's always been like where he walks in front of those two gates. That's usually that, they got that straight from the first one. But that's fine because that's what this one is. It's like everything kind of like the first one, but super, it's 16-bit and a lot more color, a lot more stuff. But this game very much follows the same beats as the first one, and that you have a lot of the similar bosses. It's like Frankenstein and stuff later on in the game. So yeah, yes, it is something that they have done, but presentation was next level.
Okay, understood. Where would you rate this of the classic Castlevanias? Where would you rate this one?
Third or fourth?
Oh, really?
Probably. Mm-hmm.
Third or fourth? Okay. I thought we were starting at the top. I have to go check out the other ones.
It is pretty high up there. No, I would say first one is Rondo, and then the second one is either the first one or the third one, and then probably this one or one of the others. Like second one's probably fifth, and then this is just the classic ones. This is all the ones before Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So that's kind of how it would go. This is, I would say, for someone who wants to play a classic style Castlevania game, this is a good one to start with because I think it's even more forgiving than others. And the whip is a little OP and overpowered, but that's good. You can use it to your advantage. It's kind of a new way to get used to some of the stuff. But yeah, I would say this would be a good one for a beginner going in, or just someone new to the franchise.
As a beginner to the classic ones, it took me a while to figure out some stuff I'm kind of embarrassed about, but one of them was that if something shoots a fireball at you, you could just whip it. You didn't have to run from it or duck from it or jump over it. So that was a learning experience for me. And then there's kind of the same thing. You know the skull boss with the long tongue?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. So every time you hit it, stuff would drop from the ceiling and always hit me. And I would try and dodge it, jump and everything. And then one time I was like, maybe you can just hit it. And I tried that and it worked. So like I got to where I beat that boss like every time I went against
Yeah,
him.
your whip is really powerful in this game. You can go up, you can go down, you can diagonal, you can like have it flail around and stuff. It's really useful.
Yeah, the whip is really powerful.
A lot of multi directions, more traditional ones or other ones, any other ones like the whip is more of a forward action. Oh, and so yeah, no, there's Rondo, yeah, Bloodlines. Bloodlines is in there somewhere as the top, but yeah, this is probably 3 or 4 for the top for the classic style. Like I said, it's a really good way to get in. It's very pretty and it's very forgiving. If you just learn how to use the whip, you can feel really powerful in this game versus some of the other ones. Like that second, actually because the whip is so strong and powerful in this version, kind of takes away the need for use a lot of the secondary weapons, although they can be nice. I really don't like how unforgiving it is when you hit one of the candles and you act immediately or underneath it or whatever, and you get like the secondary weapon and it's not the it's like you had a 2x or 3x of whatever other secondary and now you have like a stopwatch. Sucks.
Yeah, that I was really annoyed by that too myself, especially after playing Symphony of the Night and all the other ones. I got frustrated because I'd have something like the cross, something really useful, and then all of a sudden, like I'd get daggers. It's just because I jumped and hit a candle at the same time. I found that frustrating, but overall, I did the secondary weapons. I really did never feel like I really needed to use them, and if I did, it was more like a luxury just to get through something faster.
Mm-hmm.
The bosses are where I used them most.
Oh yeah. No, I've done that especially, like not used them much to the level, then get to the boss and like, hey, I've got a bunch of this. Let me just throw all this at him as fast as I can and just nuke him before he really does damage on me. Too much damage.
Yeah, like as my favorite weapon for bosses so far, and this is probably new, but I really enjoyed the axe because like you could jump away and turn around and like throw that like all day long and just spam it at them and take off huge chunks of their life.
It has a nice arc to it, so there's a lot of use cases where if you need to get a nice, from an angle, the arc, you can do a lot of damage to a boss. They can be really useful.
One of the things about the secondary weapons that was really interesting to me is like I feel like later Castlevanias, at least the ones I played, they seem to throw special weapons at you a lot more. This one, there were several times where I would be at a reset point for a boss fight, and I wouldn't even get the chance to have a secondary weapon. It would just be hearts everywhere.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there are doesn't throw at you too often a bunch of different secondaries. So that's what makes it hurt even more when you get like a different secondary. You're like, oh well, I guess this is the new normal here. We're living with this one. But I have had, like you said, like you died and then you got reset up, and then before you know it, you're at a boss and you've been collecting hearts, but you still haven't hit like a secondary. Again, that's why I like to hit all the candles I can.
I had trouble with the green doors. I don't know, like getting that timing down really took me a minute. Or the green segments on the ground.
The platforms that move around?
Not the platforms that move around, the ones that are like when you land on them, if you step like a second too long, that you like fall through them.
Oh, the ones that follow. Yeah, the ones that if you walk across, you're fine, but if you jump, land on it, it'll move. Yeah, that's timing is everything on that.
Getting the timing down on that was hard.
Yeah, when I was playing with this one, when I was playing this this week, I was playing a bunch on my analog pocket, but then I started a new game and played on my original Super Nintendo using like one of my CRTs that I have. So I was getting no lag on some of those jumps, and I felt like I really needed it just to get through some of those jumps. Like you said, those moving platforms can be real easy when you just have to walk across them and worry about stuff trying to hit you to make you jump or whatever. When you have to like jump across like 2 or 3 of them and it's late in the stage, make a mistake and it's over. Like, and you feel like you've pressed it fast enough, but it didn't work. By the time you get through a level sometimes like that, you feel like you're hitting every beat perfect by the time you get to the end. And then, of course, the end throws you something new, and then you get wiped out and go back all the way to the beginning.
That's the way it was for me, exactly like you just said. Like the green trap doors or whatever you were calling them, they were a challenge for me to get the timing down. But once I got the timing down, I got it like perfect, like I never missed again. And then I got to the boss, and I was like, I can't beat him. And then eventually, I just started crushing him. So Yeah, it's a good game. It's got that magical loop that keeps you coming back.
Yeah, I played this, and I played it so much. It was, like I said, like the third game I got for my Super Nintendo. It's a fun game. I'm gonna continue going back at it some more, but I do have a threshold. Like if I feel like I'm not making any progress, I'll come back later.
Well, I want to continue playing too. I think I'm gonna keep busting it out. You know what just hit me? I think I might have this game. I may or may not have it. There's like a Castlevania collection. I think I got two of them on this PS5. I might have it on the PS5.
Then you have it. Yeah, it's on that collection.
Yeah, I just realized that. But it was nice to break out the mini Super Nintendo and actually use the Super Nintendo controller for a while. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. Getting the classic feeling there.
Oh yeah, no, that mini is great because of the controller's really good. I just wish the cable was longer. I know I had to buy the extension cables, but another thing I really wish about the cable is that if it uses standard USB, you have to track down like a Wii adapter for it, or like a Wii to USB adapter, because the kind of cable it uses was originally used on like the Wiimotes and stuff. So when you're looking for like a USB adapter or anything like that, you have to look it under for like the Wii.
Yeah, I thought that was so odd on the mini Super Nintendo that it used those adapters. And I thought that I don't like the way the Super Mini NES or Super Nintendo Mini, the way that the flaps up so you have to put the controller in. That makes it look a lot more uglier. I really wish they would have just left it solid and you just plug in the controller personally.
Yeah, where they had the little plastic cover that made it look exactly, so you had to take that off.
Or something that pushed in, so it didn't look like you're just jacking your whole system up to play.
Yeah, I have a bunch of different other classic mini consoles, and it's nice with all the other ones that aren't Nintendo. They're all standard USB controllers, which makes it perfect because I plug it into like my computer or whatever, or my analog pocket has USB on the hub, and then now I have like almost perfect controller for those art for the systems. It's nice. I need to get the adapter for those. It's just I was looking at them and they just seem a little, like I said, they're old, pretty much style like adapters for the Wii.
Super Castlevania IV was directed by Masahiro Yuno, created in the game as Jun Horano, since Konami did not allow the use of real names at the time, which I thought was really jacked. That's why I wanted to kind of bring this in.
Oh yeah, you should see the original one. Like the original one, all the names for the credits, they're all like Hollywood like monster movie names type, or just takes off of it. So yeah, they always wanted to like keep their developer names. They were worried in their culture in Japan, like if they put the names out of the developers, then other companies would like poach their developers. So they didn't want to give them like full public credit for the games in the credits back then.
I thought that was a really jerk move by Konami to do that. But it's an interesting time.
Yeah, I don't know if like in that collection that you have, if they've made some changes to the game to include like their actual credits. I kind of doubt it, but they might have extras as information. I know they have some of the games have like extras they might have and like include that stuff now. Would be nice. It's a really cool game. It's basically, like I said, almost beat for beat a remake without being a remake in that it does some new stuff, but it's very original classic style of Castlevania. It's just it's like the most OP whip and swinging around is new, but it's a lot of fun. And since it's an old game, like you said, it can be really brutal. If once you completely run out of lives and you have to continue, you have to start the full level back. All those other stages, progress is just gone, and like sometimes you end up being so clean with runs that you feel like you're like this perfect speed runner just for finishing it.
I hate it whenever you do it like super clean, get to the boss, and you lose all your lives. And then you start the stage over and you don't even get to the boss. That's happened to me before.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah, where you come back to certain areas that you already cleared and now you're having trouble with.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when that happens, that's like, okay, I need to take a break because like I'm not making as much progress as I used to. I just need to step back from it for a minute. And sometimes that's the way the game is, where you play for a while and then sometimes you have to take a break and you come back and then you just burn right through it and you're like, wow, this is easy, or but it's not.
This game is very much memorization. I mean, you have to like literally memorize like where every enemy or enemy packs are, unless you're like some savant, you have to your first time getting to something, you probably don't solve it. A lot of times if it's a tricky area. So yeah, there's a lot of learn and go, learn and go, learn and go involved. My final thoughts on the game is that it's a great game. It's a classic. It's something that I never really got into. I'm glad I spent the week playing it. It's really fun. The music's good. Graphics are great. The gameplay is really tight. It's a real rewarding when you progress in the game. The whip may be overpowered, but that was one of my favorite parts of the game, to be honest, was the whip.
It's a lot of fun to use that whip.
Over and all, I think it's a great game. It's definitely deserving of being like on the pedestal that it is. I wish I would have spent more time with it when I was younger, but like I said, we didn't have that game, and we didn't have a Super NES for it until a while later. So, yeah, I told this was on my list, so this was on my backlog, and I'm glad I got to clear it off. So, yeah, thanks for bringing this one up, Brian.
Oh, sure. No, yeah, this is a great game, and not only is it high on the castle, like pretty high on some of the Castlevania games, it's really high on games for the Super Nintendo. I would say, it usually makes a top something list in there. There is another Castlevania game on the Super Nintendo that came out way later, like the Dracula X, but that game, there's so many other games to play that makes it, if I said this, is third or fourth, that game is about as low as it can get, maybe. But it's not terrible. It's just there's so many other better ones for this generation that came out. Like the one on the Genesis, this Bloodlines, is a lot of fun. That one I would place right under Super Castlevania IV, and then Rondo of Blood I put like at the top of the classic ones. And that came out the same generation, just a couple years later. But and it's so much fun when you play some of these Castlevania games and you see some reused sprites, even though that's kind of just like a cheap way of for them quickly produce. It just kind of feels more cohesive across the different Castlevanias, that there's shared assets and themes and stuff of that, especially with the music. So this one is definitely one of my favorite. It's like in the top lists of favorite Super Nintendo games, and I like going back for it.
Well, in the mini Super Nintendo. I mean, it's one of the original games of the games they put on there.
Yeah, that was a good to see it on that list for sure.
So that right there. I mean, it's up there with the same list with like Zelda, Mario World, Super Metroid. So it's up there, dude. It's definitely on a pedestal. So what are you gonna be up to this week, Brian?
Well, this week I'm gonna zero out my PlayStation 5 and re-download games and see if that resolves its connection issues. I had so much fun playing again, on like my original hardware sitting in front of like the CRT. I want to play more on that. I know my Saturn is really good to do that. I'm looking to sit more in front of the TV there and play. So I'm gonna play some older games, and if I get my PlayStation 5 up and going, I'm gonna dive back into Resident Evil 4 remake. And I was looking on my Switch, and I tried to go back, and I got Metroid Dread, and I have a game save that's about 20 minutes in, and it just like I've tried to pick up from that game save, and I'm just like feel like I'm stuck. I'm not getting anywhere. That since it's been a long time. I've got it like when it first came out. That I'm pretty much thinking I'm going to start a new game on that one, just start over. It's just the only thing I was worried about in that game is like this is like a Metroid game has like a nemesis character in Metroid Dread. So when that like robot that kind of seek and destroy it comes and gets you, you have to like you're not really going to be able to beat it. You just need to get out of there and not get taken down by it. So that just the anxiety of that a little bit playing alone. Like I said, I'm probably just going to restart that game. I keep trying to get back into it, but I can't start wherever this is in my game save.
I think we talked about this last week. It's real hard to pick up in a Metroidvania after you put it down for a while.
Oh yeah, and I think that just comes in a lot of the games where I get really far and I put it down. Is like I remember a long time ago I was on a Sonic 2 and I got it recently, and I was playing. I was getting really far through it, and I was playing a lot in one day. My dad just got upset that made so much progress, and I almost beat the game like the day I got it. So ever since then, like I kind of just take breaks on games for a while because I don't beat them right away. But then sometimes I take too long a break and it becomes impossible to get back into it. So yeah, we have talked about that in general, but I can't remember if we talked about that game.
We didn't talk about that game. We just talked about Metroidvanias last week. I mean, I remember because we were talking about Prince of Lost Crown, and and I was talking about how it leads you in one direction, and we were talking about how all Metroidvanias should do that. And the reason why is because basically where you're at right now.
And I have like I have a Game Boy Advance Castlevania game, Harmony of Dissonance, that like I have to get back into, and I have tried, and I think I can get back into it. The last time is I just got so far into the game, beat like 2 bosses, and I still didn't find a save room, and then I eventually died and lost all that progress, and it just kind of took some wind out of my sails and continuing that game for a while. But I know I can get back into it. I just have to look at a map a little earlier to figure out where I'm headed to for a save room.
Well, this week I'm going to be getting some serious game time because my wife and the kids are going to go see a member of their family. It's been agreed that I'm going to stay here and I'm just going to get some really good game time or some really good rest time or do something creative. I don't know. I might end up painting for all I know, but I'm going to really enjoy that time this weekend. And then I'm going to continue to play Alan Wake. It's only supposed to be 6 episodes, so I'm halfway through the 3rd episode right now. So I'm going to continue to play that, see where that goes this week. I love to play Valkyrie Chronicles. I just love that game. I did find out from somebody that really knows the game that there's only 18 chapters, so I was a little sad to find out that I'm like 70% of the way done. So I need to slow down a little bit on that, but I'm really enjoying it, so I'm probably not going to do that. And the great thing about that is it's really good to play on my lunch breaks, so I'm really enjoying that. Where can people find you, Brian?
Well, hey, Brian. Yeah, people, again, can find me online at Nostalgic Pixel on X and Blue Sky and Instagram and YouTube. Also at nostalgicpixel.com and on Twitch at Nostalgic Pixel TV.
You can find me at Trywin at Brian on X. We want to thank you for listening to the show, and you liked it, please give us a 5-star review of your podcast app of choice. And you can follow us on Patreon at The Legendary Backlog. It's free, and we give you access to all our sites. We're trying to build a community of people that loves games. See you next time.
Thank you.